Hey YouTube audience, just a heads up, we had some major issues with both the audio and video recording of this podcast. So what you're about to see, or hear rather, is an audio only version of the podcast. Feels like a good time to remind you to subscribe to the actual audio only version of the podcast on Apple and Spotify or wherever you like your audio only pods. Sometimes these technical issues just happen, but I can assure you, having just edited this podcast, that it's another classic pod from Celtics Jay and Wayne Spooney. Enjoy.
Celtics Ready Podcast.
Back out to Smart. Fakes the pass all the time. Three. Bang! Hits Williams three. Lobs it up for Robert Williams. Shouldn't he know? Jaylen Brown. Tatum. Durant, the long reach. Tatum crossover, pull-up jumper. It's good. 50 points for Jason Tatum.
Hello and welcome to the Celtics Reddit podcast. This is your host, Wayne Spooney. I'm in the host chair because Celtics Jay is on the road, and he is here with me reporting live from his beautiful Hilton Garden. And Jay, how are you doing today, man?
You know what? On the heels of a big old Celtic win, even the Hilton Garden Inn's bullshit internet connection ain't pissing me off too bad right now. A little bit.
That's awesome, man.
They are not a sponsor.
Yeah, I can see you're not uploading right now, so that might be an issue as we move forward here, but we'll see. So, Jay, let's jump right in. Game one. Normally, I think it makes sense to start from the first quarter and go from there, but with this fourth quarter, I just don't think we can do it, man. The Celtics outscored the Warriors 40-16, 128-108 win. Biggest difference in a finals quarter ever. The first time a team's been down double digits going into the fourth and won by double digits. And as user the Turtle One says, the Boston Celtics just won the first game of the NBA Finals on the road after being 12 points after the third. I don't know about you guys, but every part of that sentence feels totally surreal to me. Jay, walk me through how you were feeling going into the fourth and kind of when you finally felt like, wow, we've got this. Like, we're winning this game.
So, user Turtle Soup used the wrong word because I would say pornographic is the way that sounds. Like, just beautifully pornographic. Like the classy stuff, though, not like that trashy stuff. Like the classy stuff, like, you know, real good camera angles. So, I can't entirely put into words other than just how much genuine joy there is to watch this team just do the things that we believe in our hearts that they can do, because they've just shown those glimpses, not just throughout the series and not just even glimpses. Like we've seen stretches, like, yeah. And we've also, though, we've seen some dips and we've seen some dives, and there was so much rational, logical reasoning behind having some doubt, some concern, some nervousness, right? But then that fourth quarter freaking happens and we just start watching these guys get right back into that flow. I mean, they looked like that team that was just rolling folks. And the way people were talking about it, I mean, even KOC said just embarrassing teams out there. Embarrassing. I put a picture on Twitter of Steph Curry's face right after he came out of that game. Just all sad with the duck face.
That man was in pain. Yeah. Existential.
I mean, that picture says everything I need to know about what the hell just happened there. It was bananas. It was as close to, and I think you had said this in the live stream on Playback, it was as close to a perfect quarter of basketball as you could expect the team to play. Where were you at? Like, how are you feeling after watching what happened there?
Yeah, I think going into the fourth quarter, my thought was these teams, just the way they play, this is going to be a series of runs, right? The Warriors shoot a ton of threes. They try to turn you over. We do the same thing. So I think there's going to be big runs to be had in this series. And we were down, I think, 12 going into the fourth quarter. And my thought was, like, if we get that first run, if we go 6-0, 8-0 run, I'll feel really good about where we're at and our chances to win this game. We did that.
Like a 17-0 run.
We did that, and then it just didn't stop for the rest of the quarter. So I definitely think, and it was interesting the lineup Udoka went to. I think this kind of some balls on a first-year head coach to go Pritchard, Derek White at the same time. With I think Rob was out there as the lone big, and those guys were just. I think we both said it. You said it at one point, Jay. Is like the tempo and the purpose they were playing with on the offensive end. It was just really, you could tell they were locked in and they were about to do something special with just how they were playing. And I think Pritchard's a big help for them when he's out there because he's so deadly from three. And he did a really nice job on the defensive end, hounding Steph Curry. Like Iguodala tried to post him up and he didn't move an inch. So I would say it was when they were interviewing Steve Kerr. And he was like, or it was mic'd up of Steve Kerr being like, get a stop, get a score. We got like, get a bucket here and then get a stop. And
we're right where we want to be.
And they cut to Al Horford tipping the ball. Derek White gets it, pitch back to Al, buries a three for a 6-point game. And it's like, holy shit, we're going to win this fucking game, man. And like, they took it to another level from even that point. So it was an absolute flurry of threes. We shot 51% from three, Jay. So, like, do you feel like we should be, because you know what Warriors fans are going to say? Like, Horford was 6.
They're already saying it.
Yeah.
They're already saying it.
8. Derek White, 5 of 8. Smart had a 18, 5, and 4 on 4 of 7 from three. Like, do you have any concern that we just shot the lights out and that's why we won?
I mean, we did shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
I don't know. So obviously, if they don't make those shots, the game's a lot closer. But ultimately, they were getting whatever they wanted on offense. And so that's where I feel like that argument ends up falling a bit flat for me. Now, here's the thing. I do not expect that every minute of every game is going to go the way that fourth quarter went. I don't expect that. And I'm not expecting a sweep either. But anyone saying that we just happened to get lucky in making some threes, I don't think they were watching the game, because there's nothing lucky about the shots that they were getting. They were moving the ball. They had all of those Warriors defenders spun, and then they were getting open looks. And here's the thing. Derek White is not an elite three-point shooter, nor is Marcus Smart. And at this point, it's kind of been evident that Al Horford's not even an elite three-point shooter. I mean, he's had, especially if he's tired, those legs are under him. That ball gets real short and real flat. But with a little bit of rest and what you got to understand is even the most mediocre three-point shooter in the NBA, if they're wide open, they're going to hit that shit.
Right.
Like, you see it in warm-ups all the time. You see it on these Instagram videos and quick Twitter videos where guys are just like raining 10, 15 off in a row. You leave them open, they're going to hit shots. So here's the thing. No, they're probably not going to be 6 of 8 again, or 15 for 23 total, whatever they were. But if they're going to keep leaving these guys open, they're going to have problems. And if we're not going to hit those like that, it's going to be because they've made adjustments and they're actually playing some damn defense. Because last I heard, Draymond said they could play defense. Last I heard, Draymond was supposed to be Defensive Player of the Year. And here he is, not even closing the hell out, just sitting there watching people. And then he's on his podcast talking like, oh, we dominated them for 41 minutes. Like, that math don't work out, kid.
Yeah, to your point, I think 38 of our 41 threes were either open or wide open. And White's been solid on wide open threes his whole career. Smart too, and Horford as well. And Horford's like sneaky on a crazy hot streak in the playoffs. He's shooting like 45% from three in the playoffs. So, like, I think you're right. Like, throughout a season, he is not an elite 3-point shooter, but he is capable of looking like one for a playoff run, and that's really all we need. We only need 3 more wins, man. You know what I mean? We only need to, like, we could have 3 more hot shooting games, right? Like, we totally could do that. So
for sure.
And I think when you're getting open looks all night, you get into rhythms too. It's like the open looks are harder to make when you haven't had one all night, and all of a sudden it's the third quarter. But when it's like, shit, all night I'm just walking into wide open threes, you just start brimming with confidence, and I think White is definitely a confidence player. Like, you can tell when Derek White is not really feeling himself and he's timid.
Oh, he's feeling it now.
He is. He's like, he never felt it before, man. Like, he is fucking pumped. He got so much confidence and swagger every time he touches the ball. Like, so I wouldn't be. It's been very good timing for Derek White to find his jump shot. I will say that. But the Bucks tried this. This is the Bucks strategy, and we won. You know, so I'm not sure this is.
And they're a better, more aggressive defensive team.
Way bigger.
The Warriors are a good defensive team, but they're just not physical like that, right? Like they're not as big and strong, so they're not as likely going to wear us out. Especially because the Boston Celtics squad, like these guys are kind of they've carved themselves to be like, you know, these stone built warriors out there. So it's like you can try to beat them up, it's not really going to work. You're just going to hurt yourself every time you try to bump into them. I got to ask you a question, though. I really wonder what your thought on this is going to be, because I've got maybe a different take, but it'll be interesting because I've thought that before and then we've had the same take. So I want to ask you, what was the turning point in this game, do you think?
I would say probably, I think, can I give you two?
Well, no, because then you're more likely to have the same take as me.
Okay, all right. Then what I will say is, I think the Warriors in the end of the first or beginning of the second quarter got a 10-point lead, and we just stormed right back and ended up going up to two. We were up 2 at halftime, and that, to me, it just felt like the guys were like, all right, we can beat these dudes. Like, they are not invincible. This is not an unbeatable team. Like, they had us right where they wanted. Like, you go down 10 to the Warriors, you're thinking, wow, this could be 20 in 3 possessions, basically. And then all of a sudden, we're up 2 at halftime. So I would say that was the big thing to me, where it just felt like the proof of concept. Like, what we're doing is going to work against these guys. Like, Curry was absurdly hot. We blew a few rotations at the beginning in the first quarter, but
that's polite
understatement. Yeah, we didn't guard anybody for like the first 6 minutes, but once we started to, it worked, and it worked throughout the whole game. I mean, even that third quarter, like, you know, Iguodala hits a 3. Otto Porter splashing 3s. It's like, all right, man. Like,
Wiggins is hitting 3s.
Yeah, Wiggins is hitting all sorts of crazy shots. So you live with that. The defense is working as intended, and eventually the math's going to work in your favor. And oh, baby, did it in that fourth quarter. So what do you think?
We're the least interesting pair ever, because we always end up with the same takes. Because I figured you'd go to that fourth quarter again and think about like one of the pivot points there, and maybe go back to that play that you had cited. But yeah, that second quarter was something. When we saw the way that they were in, and what I really appreciated was they demonstrated an ability to pick on their best player, right? Yes. Like they picked on Steph. They put 3 fouls on that guy in the first half. They started just matching him up all over the place, and they like Steph looked pissed off because in that first quarter, Steph is doing his whole you don't want it, like chewing on my mask. I mean, he was raining hellfire, but
he was.
But in the same way, you can't leave even mediocre shooters open. Like, you can't give Curry any space. You can't. You're gonna get punished. Right. And they were basically just asking for him to put them to bed. And the way they bounced back. And then, like you said, getting that lead then and being able to punish specifically Steph in that moment, take their best player and put him in a position that he can't even help himself, and the rest of the team can't really do anything because there's no one that he can hide on.
Right.
Anyone that he ends up on is going to be able to attack him. If it's a big man, they're just going to put him in the post. Even if it's Tatum, they're going to put him in the post. Yep. If it's one of the other guys on the wing or on the perimeter, they're just going to drive on him. Like, no one's scared of him on the defensive end, which makes him really vulnerable at this point in his career. Like, it seems like maybe I always remembered him as a bit stronger of a defender, but you know, he's also getting towards the back end of the career, right? Like, he's in like maybe the last couple of years of like that prime performance. But I'm also not trying to speak ill on dude, because like the last thing we need is anyone whispering that kind of shit in his ear, because he's got that Mamba mentality junk in his head. Like, I kid you not, that man is like a laser focused human being. He's not going to come out in game 2 looking to get punked, I'll tell you. No. But so taking him and essentially making him not only a non-factor, but a liability, that, I think, like you said, it changed the psychology for our guys, and they realized, oh no, not only did we earn our way here, but there's no reason why this isn't ours. It's just, I had said it earlier, we are witnessing special stuff right now, and
hell yeah,
in the same way that a lot of people, KOC talks all the time, like we have to appreciate LeBron James because he's and that's true, like, he's a special guy. I'm telling you right now, you need fuck that guy. You need to right now appreciate what the Celtics are doing, because it's not just satisfying Celtic fans, interest and enthusiasm for getting a chip. They are doing some stuff right now that is just different. I was hearing KOC and Verno talk on their pod, and I mean, what they were saying, what they're commenting on right now is speaking to, they just Warriors the Warriors is really what it looked like to them. Yeah. And if that's what's happening here with a bigger, stronger, and with a team that's designed and signed up to be able to stick together so long as they wish to, man, let's just ride this wave. I'm not predicting like anything as far as game 2. Who knows what the hell is going to happen? You have to expect Warriors are going to come back ferocious, but we are witnessing special stuff from Boston. Keep your eyes open wide, everybody.
Yeah, I think it's a great point on especially the Curry side of things. Like, you have to pick on him on defense just for the sheer fact that it makes him tired and he's less effective on offense. I do think Curry's not a bad defensive player, but he's undersized and he's certainly not good. So you can pick at him, especially when you've got a guy like Tatum who's just so much bigger than him and so skilled. So we did a wonderful job, I think, not in the first quarter, but beyond that, we did a wonderful job going at Curry. And he looked like he was wearing down as that game went along. Like, he was not the same guy in the set. He hit 1-3 after the first quarter. And that defense, the Celtics defense, is just so hard to generate open looks against, and that wears you out too. And I really don't think they can run their offense against us. And maybe I'll look dumb after game 2. But I think they're just going to have to go to Curry pick and roll, because we just switch it. Congratulations. You have 8 seconds left on the shot clock and you haven't even passed the ball yet because you're trying to get all this off ball movement. So I would wonder if they're just going to say, screw it. Curry's running 35 pick and rolls, which terrifies me because that's very dangerous.
Well, and we were talking about it during the game because I was surprised by that too. I remember being on the pregame show on Celtics Corner with B Smooth and Jags, and they were talking about ways to try and defend Curry, and the big thought was, as much as we might have some defenders that are going to be strong to be able to face him one-on-one, like Smart and White, the most difficult aspect of it is going to be that off-ball movement. But what's kind of surprising is that actually seemed to work against him, because the more they tried to play him off ball, the less of a factor he was, because then we just made it that much harder to get him the ball in any way. And so if you can keep the ball out of his hands, that's dynamite, because I think at this point it's pretty evident he is going to be the most lethal and dangerous with the ball in his hands and people having to fight over or through and around picks, because he doesn't need much. He just needs a sliver of space. So even if you get through that screen, what would normally be considered effectively, you're getting burned because it's not enough. And that's where I think Peyton actually was a real godsend on defense. Yeah. because he's such a smaller guy, it's easier for him to get around and through those picks without getting hung up. Like, Smart's got these big old broad shoulders. He's a strong ass dude. Even though he can fight through a screen, it's going to take him longer just because of the sheer mass and, two bodies, celestial bodies colliding together. Peyton's just slithering right through that shit, and he's at least just staying right there in front of him. So he's not getting that even sliver of space without having some disruption. I mean, ultimately, all the praise in the world to the players, and there's a couple other players I know we've got to hit on and give some flowers and love to, but, I don't know that anyone deserves more credit right now than Ime Udoka and the way that he's got these guys schemed out and playing ball, because it just seems fucking brilliant.
Gentlemen, all men strive for gold in their life, right? Gold medals, gold watches, gold everything. However, there's a certain type of man who goes the extra mile. He walks with the confidence of an eagle and giggles in the face of danger. He's a big, hairless winning machine, and when he unzips his pants, he sees platinum? That's right, Manscaped would like to introduce you to their best and biggest ultimate hygiene bundle yet, the Platinum Package 4.0. Manscaped is the leader in below-the-waist grooming, and now trust them with the whole shebang. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code CRPOD. CR as in Celtics Reddit, pod as in podcast. Now, I gotta say, Manscaped, as we joined them, as we partnered with them, they sent us out some stuff, and it's really made a huge difference to my hygiene and my grooming routine. A lot of extra confidence, particularly wearing NBA jerseys and no longer needing to worry about the increasing shoulder hair that one male gets as a maturing male. Further to that, going to the hairdresser, getting my hair cut, I no longer see them reaching into my ears or to certain parts around my neck, trimming hair that I didn't realize I had. With the Manscaped package, I feel like I'm all over it. So I can't recommend getting on top of your own grooming enough and employing Manscaped. Manscaped's brand new Platinum Package 4.0 is the biggest bundle they've ever offered, giving you a bulk discount on Manscaped's top products. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. They designed this package to allow you to fully align your entire hygiene routine with elite products. Inside this Platinum Package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. By God, I need that myself. Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, Ultra Premium deodorant, Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, very handy, Crop Reviver Ball Spray Toner, anti-chafing boxes, and the Shed travel bag to hold your goods while traveling. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate parts and holes. Both are waterproof so you can shave with less mess. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. You'll have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. As well, don't forget to apply their aluminum-free Ultra Premium deodorant for that cologne quality scent on the go. But it's not just your pits that stink, your balls can stink too, believe me. Thankfully, their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner can solve this problem for you. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Platinum Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxes and the Shed Travel Bag. If you're traveling like me to the NBA Finals from Australia, you need to throw all this stuff into your Shed travel bag. It's essential at this point. Bring your comfort and boxes to another level. The Platinum Package 4.0 covers all the bases from head to toe, the best bang for your shebang. So support the Celtics Reddit podcast, and more importantly, support yourself. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code CRPOD at manscaped.com. CRPOD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. It's time you enjoy the finer things in life and get yourself a Platinum Package for your Platinum Package.
Yeah, The one issue I take with Udoka's coaching is running double bigs against his team. So.
Yeah, that didn't look great.
No, Horford and Rob Williams were a -10 on the court together. Horford and Grant were only a -4. Horford and Smart -1. Everybody else Horford was on the floor with was +9 or better. And Derek White and him were +19. So, I mean, Grant -4, that's nothing. -1, that's nothing. -10 is like, okay, maybe it's an anomaly.
Something.
But man, it did not look very fluid to me. I just think this is the team you got to go small against. Get Grant out there, play Tatum at the 4. When we did that, we looked like the better team by far, and it goes back to what KOC and Vernon were saying about the Warriors hitting the Warriors. The Warriors, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you mentioned how Golden State's a less physical team. Well, we just went through 2 absolute wars against the Bucks and the Heat.
Bloodbaths.
So, yeah, got a Reddit comment here for you. Hello Sun says, I don't think I've seen it mentioned anywhere yet, but the 2 days between games bodes well for Marcus Smart and Rob Williams injuries. So I think that was the biggest thing, man, is like the game after game after game, we could never quite get Rob and we can never quite get Smart up to 100%. Like, what did you feel like after game 1? Where are you at with their health? 100%, 100%? Marcus a little better than Rob? Like, how you feeling on those two?
Well, I'll go back to the guest spot that I had on Celtics Corner for the pregame. Well, not necessarily actually the pregame; it was the preview show. And I had mentioned there that similar to what was it? Son.
Hello, son.
Hello, son. Hi, Dad. Similar to what they're pointing out, I had made the comment, listen, a little bit of rest for Al Horford goes a long, long way. Because that man, if he's got his legs under him, everything opens up for him on offense. Like, he seems to be so committed, no matter how tired he is, he's not going to get beat on defense. He is going to stay being lethal on defense. But if his legs aren't there, he's giving up a little bit on offense, and he's deferring to others. He's trying to be as much as he can a playmaker, right? And it's just not really working. But man, you give him some rest. And I said, if he's got some rest and his legs are under him, he's gonna be able to have some big games. And everyone had this. Everyone kind of, not everyone. One in particular person decided to scoff a little bit at that, and lo and behold, leading scorer in a huge comeback game 1 victory over the Warriors in the finals. And having a couple days in between these games right now, if I'm a Warriors fan, I'm pretty nervous about that, because Al Horford is a man on a mission, like a mission. He knows this could be it, as far as him being like
no doubt
a feature guy in that lineup, right? Like, if this team, maybe this team can make another run next year, expectations would be there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to. But it's a lot to ask or expect him to have that same level, given, again, just the age, the demands of a regular season. Although, don't put too much doubt on dude, because we were doubting him this year too, right? So, yeah, I don't know if he's drinking whatever the same thing as Tom Brady's drinking or what, but yeah, I think right now Al is definitely, as far as those two go, Al in game 1, and this is tough for me to say. I think everyone will know how tough this is for me to say. But Al is our 3rd best player right now. He is our 3rd star right now.
Spoonie Celtics show, check it out.
If he's got these rested legs, he is such a damn difference maker, because he allows us to play that smaller ball. If they decide to really work that angle, and it'll be interesting to see if Ime does.
Yeah.
If they just have Rob backing up Al, holy crap, does that really spell some trouble for that Warriors squad? Because all of a sudden, You're not going to see Tice, and Tice clearly isn't a great matchup for this spot. I mean,
that was
that looked rough. I was happy for him when he got a 3, but that looked rough.
3, yikes.
But if Rob is going to give us 22 to 24 minutes of what we saw in game 1 behind Al, the problem I saw with that double bigs is it doesn't force Golden State to cover everybody, because you can cheat off of Rob a little bit, especially because he clearly doesn't have the level of explosiveness he did during the season.
Yep.
He's given us what he's got, and it's certainly enough to be an impact to a certain degree, but it's not the same. And so he's not that same vertical threat that he was, so they're not as concerned about that lob the way they would if he just was 100% healthy. Right. So they can cheat off him a bit. But when you don't have him, and instead you've got Grant or you've got D. White or you've got Pritchard, holy crap, you can't cheat off nobody.
Right.
You just can't. It's not an option. And I love Marcus more than any rational person should, but there's in this series, given these matchups and these dynamics, and the way that Al is just so freaking committed on, it seems like almost a spiritual level. There's no stopping that man right now. There just isn't.
Al's just top 5, baby. But
top 5, baby. I love it.
There's a lot of really awesome Celtics performances in this game, and it's almost hard to pick who, because I think if you're giving the game ball away, it's got to be Al Horford. But Derek White was awesome. 21 points, 3 assists. He was all over Curry, game high plus 25. And one guy, it's criminal we haven't mentioned either of the Jays yet. But Jaylen Brown, so when I said, can I have 2 turning points, my other one was going to be Jaylen Brown going off to start the 4th quarter, because I don't think, if he misses one of those shots, I wonder if that's enough to kind of deflate the momentum that was going. But, I mean, Jaylen was awesome. It's always kind of an adventure when Jaylen's sort of running the offense, but it's still ruthlessly effective. And, you know, he's burying shots. That his mid-range is just so pure right now, dude. It's like he just never misses that shot, and that lob to Rob to cap it off and make the Warriors take a timeout was absolutely beautiful. And Tatum, only 12 points, 3 of 17 shooting. I know you've been a little critical of his performance, but 13 assists. I look it up, 19 potential assists. That's more than Steph Curry and Draymond Green combined. So 5 rebounds. And I felt like both Tatum and Brown, slightly lesser extent, were great on the defensive end too. I can't really remember Tatum ever getting beat. And Jaylen had a few miscues early, but he really locked it in on that end as well. So the Jays were sort of tale of 2 different games. Like, Jason handled the playmaking, Jaylen more the finisher, which makes sense. But they both did exactly what we needed of them given the context of the game. Does that make sense?
So much sense. And here's the thing. What I'm really loving about this, because I have kind of, and I don't know if it's so much critical as much as just like looking for what's coming next for him, right? And
yeah, no, I totally understand.
Yeah, I know you understand, but I got to make sure everyone else that's listening understands. You know, we talking offline. You know where I'm at. I just got to make sure we're all on the level.
Get your
come at me, yo. At me all over the place. But like I have been saying, like, if he wants to be the man in these moments, he's got to be the man in these moments. If you're top 5, well, then in these moments, you don't have bad games. You dominate the opponent and you establish your dominance. And what I loved about this game, because sometimes what'll happen is he'll start forcing the issue when things aren't going his way. And in this game, he was like, nah, forget all that. He's like, if guys are hitting shots, yo, here we go.
Here you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Focus on me. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Focus on me. And here's the thing. We've seen him take a step forward in his playmaking throughout the entire season, and we've seen him even step that up a notch here in the playoffs. We're seeing him step it up another notch so far now in the finals.
Yeah.
What I think is happening is we know Tatum's not in his final form.
Right.
What I think's happening right now is this man is like starting to just like rip out of that cocoon to where he's going to emerge as a beautiful butterfly. And it's just going to be like magic. I don't know exactly when that moment's going to be for him. Maybe it'll be in this finals. Maybe not. Maybe it's something we're going to see, moving forward. But he's opening up aspects of his game, because what I loved is he dictated what was going on the court. Even though he wasn't hitting shots, it was his decision how that game was going after that first quarter. Steph Curry dictated the game in the first quarter. After that, Tatum said, no more. Top 5. Yeah. And he didn't score the ball and he still made that happen. Gorgeous. Now, Jaylen, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs this whole postseason. Jaylen, 2-3 dribbles max.
That's it.
Get into your mid-range zone or go straight to the rack. Just make up your mind and go. Don't do all this dribble dancing around. Forget all that. He is just so lethal. When it's 2-3 dribbles max, pull up and either put it down. He's great at finishing around, even with contact at this point. He's just
crazy. It's like he
bananas
hangs in the air. Like he gets more hang time when he hits a body. It's nuts, dude.
He doesn't care about gravity. He just doesn't give a shit. No, and then that mid-range game of his is just unreal.
Yeah.
And I don't know that folks have fully appreciated this, but I mean, he has been demonstrating that for the last couple seasons. He has really worked on that. And I'm hoping that he's finally really come to terms with the fact that that is the part of his game that cannot be denied. And that's what we're looking for Tatum. That's what I'm looking for Tatum. For him to find the part of his game that cannot be denied. And for Jaylen, I think he is finally finding that. And it's that mid-range game, and he is just a fucking problem for everyone else.
He absolutely just like rips the net when he hits those mid-range shots. So we got one last Reddit comment here, Jay, and then we'll jump to quick predictions about Game 2, and then we got a little bit of news too. So Alfonso says, if I'm the Dubs, I can live with Horf and White going insane from 3. What would worry me is Jaylen. Who's going to guard Brown? Who's going to stop him from driving into the paint? The size mismatch was very apparent as the game got later, even before the crazy run. And yeah, I think that's what you're saying is you want to put Klay Thompson on him? Well, he can go around Klay or rise up over Klay. You want to put like a big, like Draymond on him? He'll blow right by Draymond. And Wiggins has to guard Tatum. I mean, unless you want to have the same problem just in reverse where Tatum's the guy they can't cover. Exactly. I'm not sure the Dubs have many answers for Jaylen Brown, and it's one reason I put a little money on him for Finals MVP. So I think exactly what you're saying, Jay, is like he could get that mid-range shot against literally every single player on the Golden State Warriors, and the way he's been shooting it, I'm not sure he'll miss one for the whole series, really. So real quick, Jay, before we get out of here, because Spoonie's got to go to bed, man. That was a very late night last night. How do you feeling about Game 2? What do you expect from the Warriors? Do you feel a Celtics win? You think we go back 1-1? Back to Boston.
I think Golden State's going to come into Game 2, and they just got their ego like thrown in the mud.
Sure.
Right. That's what just happened. I mean, so this is a team that's got banners to their name, and they're not going to come looking to get punked again. They're just not. Draymond, I don't agree with all the things that dude goes on about, but that's a guy that cares about his performance on the court.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is a guy that's not playing around. That dude wants to win. He's about as hard a worker as you're going to find in the NBA. Straight up. That's the truest thing you can possibly say. So I expect that team's going to come out and they're going to, similar to how they did in game one, they're going to come out and they're just going to be firing on all cylinders. Yep. Kerr's going to help them make adjustments because he's no slouch as a coach. Let's not get confused. That man is a legitimate, brilliant coach. He's going to get these guys right. He's going to get these guys schemed to respond to what they learned about us in game one. So if we think we're just going to do the exact same thing and get the same results, we should probably temper those expectations. But I agree with you to some extent that they've got limited options one-on-one as far as what they can do. And if they go zone, that's a nightmare for them at this point. Unless we just go have one of those, because we have at times had those games where we just go ice cold.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to everybody other than maybe the Warriors. Yeah.
But given Tatum's performance, it's hard to expect him to have two of those because that's just not really his MO. And so I'm expecting Tatum to be a beast scoring, probably a little less playmaking, but at the same time, that could potentially lead to Smart being more of that elite playmaker during that game, not having to take as many shots. Because I got to go back and look at the numbers and look backwards a little bit at it. But I'm wondering if Smart's increased shot attempts come on those nights when Tatum isn't banging shots. Because I feel like I'm starting to notice that trend. Like if Tatum's not really going off, Smart kind of tries to step up and see if he can get himself hot and force the defense to have to cover him more to give Tatum a little bit more room to operate. And fortunately, White was really able to do that in this particular game. But I mean, Marcus didn't have a bad game, right? That guy had a great line for that game too. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm expecting a good game from Tatum. I'm expecting a good game from Horford, even if it's not that same kind of game, but a good strong Horford outing because he's got that rest. The one worry in my mind right now, and I'll kind of leave on. Well, I'll end my thought with my worry, but then I'll leave us with my optimism. My worry is Peyton coming back because that does give them that second elite defender to help on Brown.
Sure.
And if they're able to disrupt Brown, and Peyton's the guy that can do that. Peyton and Wiggins together can switch between the two J's and cause problems for us, and that can be a real wrench in the works. So that could be a real big boost for them if and when he's able to come back. That being said, the Warriors just don't have that special juice right now that seems to be fueling these Celtics. There is something beyond basketball right now that is powering the locomotive that is this Boston team currently. And I just don't see a road that does not lead to banner 18. I've been saying it for a minute. I'm not going to stop. It's coming, baby.
Let's go. Yeah, I think our job's kind of done in San Francisco, right? We got the one. I thought Celtics in 6 going into this series. You just had to get one in Golden State, and we did it. So it's hard. It's hard to motivate yourself to the point where that a desperate team does, and Golden State is going to be very, very desperate. So I expect it to be a very close game that could go either way. If I had to put money down, I would probably take Golden State to win, but there's no reason we can't win this game. And I really just loved when we went with the either just Rob or just Al on the court. We just really looked like the better team, man. And the way we're playing defense, to your point, they're just so connected. That was a mature game from Tatum to just accept he's not making his shots and get his teammates involved, which is, I'm not sure he does that last season. I'm not sure he does that in November of this season, right? So that's great to say, and the defense is just insane. So I think
and one last quick thing, because it just popped into my head. It's totally different for a lot of reasons. But did this not kind of feel a little bit like that game one against New Jersey where we weren't really sure whether we really were going to measure up or not, and then the moment they believed it, it just, you couldn't stop the train then.
Yeah, I kind of have this. I kind of have the same feeling where after going into the Nets series, I was worried, and then after game 1, I was like, we're winning in 5, and I was wrong because we swept their ass. So I'm
perfect thing to be wrong about.
Yeah, and like the shooting's gonna come and go a little bit. That's fine. I just really believe in the way this team's playing, man. So very small, very quick bit of news. The Celtics, surprising absolutely fucking nobody, said they are going to guarantee Al Horford's contract in the offseason. So we're guaranteed to get Al back next year. Shout out to Big Al. It's like a dream. He's
that man
back
deserves
doing it. Hell yeah, dude. Even if he doesn't play next year, you give him all of it. Mil, man. Yeah, you've earned
take all of it.
Yeah. So all right, Jay.
I got $12 in my pocket. I'll mail that to him.
Yeah, well, he doesn't need it. Unless you got anything else for us, man, I think that one's gonna wrap it up. So Jay,
let's go, baby. Game 2.
Glad you could make it happen, man. Glad you.
Thanks for being patient, man.
Of course, yeah. Anytime, dude. And
crazy weather out here in Texas.
Love your work, mate. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, nailed it. All right, Celtics Reddit podcast out.